ton of space, but Wario got just... Oh man, it's gonna be bad. He got him! That was so good!
Well, Snake a heavy character, but not exceptionally heavy. So this
Oh my goodness, that is rendering insane. What's the concept? You definitely concept you don't know about. No!
While many projectiles in Smash are annoying to deal with, not all are created equal. Since I am a super top-level smasher and totally didn't have the help of these actually talented people, I've decided to use my gifts of analysis and superb articulation to rank the best projectile moves in Smash Ultimate. Figuring out what counts as a projectile in Ultimate is surprisingly tricky, but for the sake of this video, a projectile is any move or item that is capable of being reflected. Before I dive into things, I need to make clear that despite the various high and top-level contributions that are in this video, the final list is ultimately my own, and the opinions shared here do not necessarily reflect the opinions of all of the aforementioned players. I'll try to let you guys know wherever there were major disagreements in terms of consensus, just for the sake of transparency. Also, I'm going to be crediting all of the channels that provided visuals for this video only at the very end, because if I name some of those top players now, then it'll spoil the list for some people. Because I'm a hyper-neurotic with way too much time on his hands, I made a tidy little list of 7 criteria I use to rank the projectile moves. To me, the utility of a projectile comes down to the following. Number 1, frame data. Number 2, ease of use. Number 3 is offensive utility. For number 4, we have defensive utility. For number 5, we have ledge trapping. For number 6, we have edge guarding. And finally, for number 7, we have the difficulty for which the meta can counterplay said projectiles. If you'd like to take a moment to go over each of these criteria in detail, feel free to pause over each specific section. On this list, I'll be evaluating the effective projectiles produced by a single move in any given character's toolkit. So for example, Peach's turnip can be on this list, but not Peach's bomb specifically. And Olimar's Pikmin throw can be on the list, but not the Pikmin projectile in general, as that would include all of his Smash attacks. The organization of this video might seem a little odd, but I'm going to start ranking at number 12 and then work my way up from there, simply because I just don't have too much to say about the lower ranking projectiles on this list. That said, I will get to those lower ranked projectiles later in the video, as well as the honorable and dishonorable mentions. Alright, enough preamble, let's jump into it. People don't talk about this enough, but Yoshi has an unparalleled control over one of the most versatile and potentially deadly projectiles in the game. Because you can angle these things in any way you want, you're essentially always in Yoshi's attack range. He'll hit you if you're right in front of him, he'll hit you if you're camping on a platform, heck, he can't even hit you all the way in the corner off stage due to the height bonus that you get from using egg throw. Speaking of off stage, while frame trapping is less of a thing in Smash Ultimate just because of the whole air dodging mechanic, the egg can technically create a 50-50 situation, where if you do nothing, you get spiked, and if you air dodge and get red, well then you get hit in the face with a giant size 15 sneaker for the kill. At the ledge, egg is a really potent edge trap that can catch a variety of options because of its arc. So while you might think it's okay to go for a jump, you can still get hit by a well-timed egg, which then leads into a deadly follow-up spike. On the topic of follow-ups, it should be noted that Yoshi's eggs have a deceptively high combo potential. So while they can be used for range walling, their best strengths actually lie within their combo ability and kill setups. Eggs let Yoshi gain an absurd amount of height while recovering, so much so that it makes him one of the deepest offstage edgeguarders in the game, thanks to his S-tier air mobility. Speaking of recovering, egg throw can whip out a rather large and annoying hitbox when Yoshi's coming back to the stage, so as to even further facilitate his safe stage return. Add all of this together and you've got yourself a move that does all the right things if you know how to use it. So you're probably wondering, if this move is so amazing and versatile, then why isn't it higher on the list? Well, when you look at Suarez and Seth play Yoshi at top level, they just don't use the egg all that much in the neutral. In certain matchups at least, despite the fact that it's a really good tool at creating safe pressure and openings, be it during the Seth vs Mars set at Smash and Splash or the Suarez vs Dark Wizzy bout at DreamHack Atlanta. Eggs just aren't used that often on stage, and when they are used, it's as a combo extender or combo finisher. Don't get me wrong, they use eggs a ton off stage, both offensively and to get back to the stage, and there are some matchups in which you can do some really dirty egg camping, but Yoshi's great ground attacks and S-tier airspeed make the egg a little more situational on stage than one might think. Still a crazy good move though. Joker's side B might be the most underrated projectile in the game aside from Bowser Fire, which I'll get to later on. Both forms of Joker's side B are nuts, but let's start with the normal version, Eha. The move has one of the highest DPSs in the game for a move with no prep time. Aha deals 15 damage without Arsene, which is considerably more than Wolf Laser, which everyone seems to complain about for dealing too much damage. The move has excellent range and moves at a really weird arc that can catch a variety of approach options. When you watch Leo play, you can see him using this move to control the space that his opponent can navigate, reducing the options that the opponent can use to approach, and then capitalizing on the narrower set of approach options. An important thing to note is that despite what I said earlier, this move technically doesn't have the highest practical DPS out of all the moves on this list. As a matter of fact, in the few sets that Bap and I analyzed, we noticed that the move dealt around 125% per game, and while that might seem like a lot, it isn't much compared to something like Bowser's Fire, which deals 150%, and it pales in comparison to Charge Shot's roughly 300%. Jesus Christ. However, Bowser Fire and Charge Shot don't command the space that Aegon does, and if you watch Leo's sets, you'll see him using it way more than Guns, to the point where it's honestly one of the moves that he uses the most in certain matchups. Even if it doesn't hit that often, it's just that safe and great at controlling space. So I get it, Aha's a pretty good move, right? Well, son, that isn't even my final form. Now let's talk about Aegon. With Arsene out, Joker gains access to a projectile that deals over 20% and has excellent edge trapping potential. When hit by the move, it puts you in this really precarious situation above Joker, who has the best advantage state in the game when he's in Arsene mode. While Aha is a fine edge guarding tool, Aegon can blast your opponent to high hell if you get hit by it, so it gives the best edge guarder in the game a great long distance tool that limits the opponent's recovery options. The only real drawback to both versions is that you're deterred from spamming them because the poison effect resets rather than stacks when a second hit occurs. So if your opponent is still poisoned, you won't be dealing as much damage with the second hit. That said, 20 plus damage on a single projectile is ridiculous, and you can shoot it out willy-nilly if you're yet to hit your opponent with it, making it more easily spammable than something like Charge Shot. Ultimately, Joker's side B may not be the move that he hits you with the most, but when it does hit, you have to watch in terror as the poison slowly chips away at your chances of winning. I feel like Sakurai intentionally chose the most innocuous and adorable sound for Pikmin throw as an ironic nod to the fact that it is one of the most rage-inducing moves in the entire game. The range on these buggers is excellent, and heaven forbid any of them latch onto you, you can potentially take a ton of damage, especially if you get hit by the white Pikmin. Olimar's Pikmin stick to you at random places, so there are times where you literally can't get them off of you, and you end up swatting away at the air, only to realize that you were just wasting your time watching your damage slowly rack up higher and higher. It's like noticing that your house is on fire, and then when you try to put the fire out, you realize that your fire extinguisher is filled with cotton candy. Despite the strengths of each Pikmin, the purple Pikmin, or as the buzz calls her, Monique, is what really makes the Pikmin throw so good. Monique is thick with 3 C's, if you know what I'm saying. Her HP is twice that of her Pikmin brethren, and while she doesn't latch on, she does a sizable amount of damage and knockback, making her great off stage. One thing that not enough people take note of is that because of her high HP and non-latching properties, Monique is almost never killed during combat, which means that the only way to get rid of her is to get Olimar off stage far enough to the point where he decides to throw her away. The fact that the best Pikmin of the bunch always stays out for longest makes this move downright oppressive in the neutral, and though it requires some management, as well as the hindrance of having to mess with your line to get back to the stage safely, you can always be sure to find Olimar mains spamming this move, and with good reason. Fire Hydrant is a very unique projectile. It's one of the best keep-away options in the game, as it essentially sets up a wall in front of you that occasionally shoots out a wind box. Use it under a platform and there's basically nothing your opponent can do about it, other than coming at you at an awkward angle or trying to hit the hydrant with a smash attack, in which case Pac-Man can punish you for trying to do so. If he camps behind the hydrant, there are very few answers to it, and you kinda just have to sit there and respect this beefy obstacle. It even walls out most other projectiles, making it a great anti-meta move, since projectiles are pretty busted in this game if you haven't noticed already. Little Mac vs. Pac-Man is notoriously impossible for the stout boxer based on the existence of Hydrant alone, since it ruins ground approaches so well. The Hydrant is also a combo breaking tool and a landing tool, so if Pac-Man's frame 3 nair wasn't annoying enough to deal with, you also have this massive column that you have to contend with when Pac-Man is in disadvantage. But wait, there's more! Pac-Man's Hydrant can also create edge trapping situations that are literally unwinnable if you time them right. And although the timing can be tricky, it's absurd that you can technically put your opponent into a checkmate situation situation at the ledge with such an already excellent character. And if you don't have enough time to set everything up, no worries, Hydrant is also a pretty good offstage hazard that kills pretty easily. While this move isn't the best move offensively, there are still a few offensive tricks that you can use with Hydrant that I'll link below. Ultimately, the Hydrant projectile is a defining part of the meta at all levels of play, and how well you understand its properties is oftentimes the deciding factor in a given match against Pac-Man. Also, you can do dumb things like this! Samus's Charge Shot is a move that seems simple at first glance, but whose complexity can't be overstated. While most people see the move as a sort of brainless charge move that you let rip whenever you want, the nuances of Charge Shot appear when you understand that the move actually serves as a combo starter at low, mid, and high percentages. Furthermore, Samus has a bunch of moves that combo into fully charged Charge Shot. Speaking of kills, it's even got some good edge guarding abilities, making it a large hazard for the opponent to have to keep track of when returning to the stage. The most underrated attribute of this move is its incredible movement application. The B-reverse option with Charge Shot allows for an immense amount of mobility for Samus. The fully charged version in particular is great for stage control and applies a great deal of pressure onto your opponent. The amount of damage you deal with this move is ridiculous. Even low charge with this move deals almost as much as Wolf's supposedly broken blaster. But by the way, if you haven't already noticed, Wolf's laser blaster won't be making it onto the top 20. High and max Charge Shot not only deal an absurd amount of damage, but they also kill. However, if you watch players like YB, you'll understand that the real MVP of the different charge variants is actually the mid-charge, since it's the version of this move that combos at almost every percentage. Mid-charge on its own deals 21%, which seems very high until you realize that it true combos into grab or dash attack for a wide range of percent windows. It also sets up into a bunch of interesting tech chase situations that lead to a ton of damage if you read your opponent correctly. Linked below is an almost 15-minute video that goes over all the combo windows for the move, and trust me, there are many. The only reason Charge Shot isn't ranked higher is because you admittedly have to play very safe with Samus in order to be able to charge the move up, so you can't just throw it out all willy-nilly like some of the other moves on this list. That said, in the right hands, Charge Shot becomes one of the highest damage dealing projectiles in the game, making it the second most annoying blue ball in Smash Ultimate. The best way to understand the power of T-Jolt is to compare it to another very good but clearly inferior projectile, that being Mario's Fireball. When you look at the two, they might initially seem similar. T-Jolt comes out frame 19 and Fireball comes out frame 17. They both deal similar damage, first glance at least, seem to be used to create openings in the neutral in similar manners, and they both mainly condition shield or jump out of the opponent. However, the small differences between these two moves are what makes Pika's projectile so absurd. Thing is, you can spam Pika's T-Jolt into oblivion due to the move's low end lag, and because Pika has such ridiculous air mobility, he can almost always drift back and fire off a few of these bad boys. If you shield, Pika will grab you and start one of his infamous combos, and if you jump, you'll get hit in the face with a back air, which will lead to a whole bunch of other combos. That only leaves roll, spot dodge, and run back as counterplay, but those are decent as mix-up at best and are highly susceptible to being punished. Of course, if you get hit by T-Jolt, Pika will just grab you anyway, so it's bad news all around if you give Pika enough space to use this move in the first place. And trust me, despite your best efforts, that will happen many times per game. The other thing that makes this move so great is that it crawls up and down walls, which means that Pika can use it to come back from the stage easier, as well as make his opponent's low recovery a waking nightmare. This one move makes Kalos and Yoshi's story such strong Pika stages, because their walls serve to bolster Pika's advantage and disadvantage state. If you're ever unfortunate enough to be stuck fighting against a high-level Pika, auto-ban Kalos. Trust me, it'll be worth it. In terms of edge guarding, if the move hits you off stage, it can combo into fair to just straight up kill you, whereas Mario's Fireball is more of a large inconvenience that can maybe lead to some kills if used carefully. Plus, as mentioned before, T-Jolt is way more spammable than Fireball, so it creates a wall of thunder that makes coming back to the stage against Pika quite deadly. Okay, cards on the table. Deciding how to order numbers 5 through 7 on this list was incredibly challenging. T-Jolt is only so low on this list because its utility is a little limited compared to the other moves above it. Compared to the next two moves, T-Jolt has the least amount of metagame counterplay though, and it acts as an almost free opening in the neutral. But that said, everything else above this move is just so much more versatile. I can see someone putting T-Jolt as high as number 3 on a projectile ranking list under different criteria, but I have 7 distinct categories on my list that I'm looking for, and those above score higher in terms of ledge guarding, ledge trapping, defense, and usually even frame data. I don't want to mince words though. In terms of offensive neutral application, T-Jolt is the single best projectile in the game. Even if it isn't the best neutral bee in the game, Sam, that's Monado Arts, man. Come on, please, you Pika stan you, please stop. 。 I feel like a lot of people know that Pac-Man is great in Ultimate, but they don't really know why he's so much better in this game compared to Smash 4. After all, his aerials getting better can't have sent him from low tier to high tier on their own, right? Well, the secret behind Pac-Man's success in the meta comes down to a neat little mechanic called fruit recycling. In short, Pac-Man's fruit is kinda supposed to behave like Diddy's banana, because if it's in your hand after you've already caught it, it can only hit a surface one more time before it disappears. However, due to fruit recycling, which is a weird new mechanic that lets you resume the bonus fruit line if the fruit is already in your hand, then you can cancel the move to reset the amount of times that the fruit can be thrown. If that all sounds a little abstract, just understand this. In Smash 4, if you had a fruit in your hand, your opponent could just sit there and shield, wait for you to throw it, and then approach because the fruit disappeared. In Ultimate though, any bonus fruit can be thrown indefinitely provided you can keep catching it, creating an infinite wall of fruit. Imagine if something like Diddy's banana could be used indefinitely on shield. I actually forget that I said that. That sounds absolutely atrocious. I'm sorry. Now that we understand how bonus fruits work, we can delve into why the move as a whole is one of the most versatile provider of projectiles in the entire game. 4 of these buggers are worthy of deep analysis. Apple and Galaxian are amazing combo tools at low to mid percentages, and it isn't uncommon to see top players like T straight up deal 50% off of one Galaxian combo. Next is Melon, which is super underrated, and is an excellent counter projectile, eating through things like Mega Man's pellets and straight up winning Pac-Man certain matchups. Thing is, Melon moves super slow, which can actually be a good thing when trying to wall an opponent out, since the hitbox is always active throughout the launch. Furthermore, there are some weird surprise combos involving Melon that can catch your opponent off guard, my favorite of which involves throwing the melon in the air, then grabbing your opponent and throwing them back into the suspended melon for the kill. It's so cool! Because holding fruit typically encourages shielding as counterplay, this technique is surprisingly effective. Lastly, there's Bell, which is the best of the bunch, which not only stuns the opponent to death at high percentages, but also lets you open up a whole bunch of combos at low and mid percentages. The arc that this thing operates at is actually super weird to deal with, and it creates a sort of walling trajectory that seemingly lasts forever at the ledge. The trajectory also highly discourages jumping because of its parabolic arc, which means that sitting in shield is usually the best counterplay. That sounds like a whole lot of fun to do throughout a set. While many of the fruits work well as out of shield options, Bell in particular is not only a quick and safe defensive option, but it's also one that can net you kills out of shield. Almost every one of the bonus fruits can be used for edge guarding and edge trapping, which along with the hydrant makes fighting Pac-Man at the ledge one of the single most choking experiences in the game. The one weakness that this move has is its startup time, but in a practical sense, you can just hide behind fire hydrant and take your time choosing what you need. There's a bunch of other stuff I haven't gone over that would make my argument for the excellence of bonus fruit even stronger, but this section is already long enough as it is. Just understand that bonus fruit is one of the least understood and most complex projectiles out there, and is one of the most central projectiles in the entire Smash Ultimate metagame. In Smash 4, people would say that Cloud had the best neutral in the game because his limit mechanic forced you to always approach him even if you had the lead. Snake's grenades function similarly in Ultimate, as they force the opponent to constantly chase after Snake lest they desire the profoundly infuriating experience of having to navigate a minefield just to get to him. Grenade lets Snake stand at a safe distance and keep lobbing them out, and your opponent kinda just has to respect them. However, if the ability to force approaches and control space in a dominating fashion weren't a good enough defense for you, well, have no fear, because Grenade is also the single best combo breaker in the game. The move comes out frame 1, which is really dumb because it lets you not only get out of combos super easily, but also makes fighting Snake up close super annoying, because every one of your hits will cause you to trade with him like you're part of the New York Stock Exchange. What's worse is that when you get hit by his grenades in the air, Snake's slow but powerful aerials now become much easier to use because of the grenade hit stun. Also, you can B-reverse your grenades to not only drop projectiles below you in disadvantage, but also to mess with your momentum to make landing much easier. At the ledge, Z-drop grenade is a very good option that covers a variety of situations because of a large detonation hitbox and ease of setup. Plus, the opponent is put in a really weird state of having to time their ledge options very carefully, since grenade detonation timing can be delayed. You can Z-drop grenade and drop a C4 to cover jump and ledge get up pretty easily. You won't usually edgeguard with this move because, well, you have Nikki obviously, but grenade still has some utility as a quick option to hit opponents directly below the ledge. Offensively, grenades are really great for tech chasing out of down throw. As you probably know, Snake's down throw makes it so that you can roll in, roll out, or stay in place after he puts you on the floor. Grenades can eliminate one or even two of these options, which lets you cover the neutral getup with your super balanced and totally not broken up tilt. I could go on for quite a bit longer about the applicability of Grenade, but I think my point can be made rather simply through a drinking game. Take a shot every time you see this Snake player using a grenade in this game, and try not to die of alcohol poisoning. It should be noted that there's a full standard deviation point between the top 4 and the rest of the top 10 in terms of strength and applicability. The sheer variety of applications contained within Phantom Slash are too many to denote in a single video, so I'll just stick to the basics and see if you can find yourself making any argument that this thing should be any lower than top 4 on the list. Let's start with offense, for which Phantom can allow you to approach safely given that you have the equivalent of a roided Luma on your backside in case your opponent stuffs you out. Because the only way to deal with Phantom is jumping and shielding, Zelda can condition the opponent into doing one of these two and catch you out for your chosen option. Plus, if you land a grab, you can throw your opponent into Phantom for a true combo at a pretty large percentage window. For defense, Phantom can also just straight up wall your opponent out while you sit back and camp with your other annoying projectile and Reflector. Phantom's defensive onstage utility doesn't end there though, because there are certain matchups where Zelda benefits strongly from the ability to actually throw the knight out in front of her. This creates a giant shield to block non-piercing projectiles if you hide behind it, which makes this move a solid anti-projectile defensive option. Zelda can even whip this thing out to come back to the stage much easier than she would normally, and because Phantom's sword is a massive big boy, it can even hit you if Zelda's well below the stage. For edgeguarding, Phantom allows for some of the simplest yet effective offstage coverage in the game. Just swing the sword and watch the opponent fly. For edge trapping, the giant lingering hitboxes can cover a wide variety of getup options. So here's the question, if Phantom Knight does everything and more, and is by some even called the best move in Smash Ultimate, then why is it only number 4 on my list? Well, there's only one tiny problem with Phantom. The final 2 versions of the move, which are the most used versions by far, only come out on frames 46 and 59 respectively, which makes it very reactable and not practical at a close range. Even the fastest version of Knight only comes out on frame 26. While Phantom Slash is incredible while Zelda's at a far distance, the final 3 moves on this list are not only impressive in their design, but also come out much faster, and they have a lot more applicability at a short range. That said, don't let the frame data fool you. Phantom Slash makes it so that you'll be questioning whether Zelda mains even have a functioning A button on their controllers. Diddy's banana peel is somewhat of an enigma in the Ultimate community. Since Diddy was such a dominant force in Smash 4, and is only a high tier at best in Smash Ultimate, some would argue that banana peel isn't deserving of a spot this high on the list. In Montreal, we call such people "maudit bat stupid," which is English for, very wrong. The strongest assets that Banana provides are its offensive utility in the neutral, its powerful combo starters and extenders, and its consistent ledge traps. Banana's best neutral assets that differentiate it from something like Mega Man's Metal Blade is the fact that it's a spectacular retreating option against aggressive opponents, and takes Diddy's whiff punishing to a whole other level. What's great about this move is that if your opponent is at a high enough percentage, you can run back, turn around Banana Throw to punish your opponent's aerial, and then go in for a smash attack to end a stock. This move single-handedly makes Diddy's neutral exceptional. And the smart thing to do as counterplay is unfortunately usually to just camp him out until his banana's gone, though sadly he's always just one neutral interaction away from getting a new one. Banana also has hydrant levels of presence at the ledge, making it cover things like ledge getup quite easily, and leads to a trip animation that allows for stellar punishes if your opponent falls for it. Considering the fact that Diddy Kong is so good at catching ledge jump, it is my opinion that Banana is the single greatest ledge trapping tool in the entirety of Smash Ultimate, as you can pretty much trap your opponent in an endless vortex at low percentages and straight up kill at high percentages. As for offstage, Banana is a fine tool that you can kinda just throw out at people because it's transcendent like Wolf's Blaster, so your opponent can't just knock it out and get rid of it. Instead of just throwing it out at the opponent though, a little known thing you can do with Banana is throw it against the ledge to do some really weird two-framing that works surprisingly well. Lastly, Banana is largely responsible for Diddy's craziest combos, including a barrel up B combo that deals insane damage. Add the fact that Diddy gets a frame 7 forward option out of his shield with Banana in hand, and you've got yourself an item that you almost always want to be in control of. Banana Peel is, by some people's opinion, the best down B in the entire game, and were it not for the last 2 projectiles on this list, I'd be very inclined to agree. Before I dive into my analysis, I'd like to point out that Link's Remote Bomb could possibly have even taken the number 1 spot on this list, and there were even a few top-level contributions to this video that thought so. The best way to explain why Remote Bomb is so strong is to go over each of the different facets that make a projectile good. In terms of offense, I could spend 25 minutes going on and on about Remote Bomb's applications in the neutral and punish game. This I would know because Izza has already done so on his channel. By the way, you should check those videos out if you're curious to know about what else Bomb can do. At the risk of making this video an hour long, I'll give you an abbreviated version of its top-level neutral strengths. The bomb can true combo into its own explosion starting 60%, you can confirm bomb throw into grab starting 90% for an offstage throw that leads into an edgeguard situation, and you can Z-drop the thing in front of the opponent for excellent pressure because the bomb has an active hitbox for the first 4 bumps on the ground. Most neutral interactions with Remote Bomb allow for Link to keep exerting safe pressure with his sword and nair. But now for the pièce de résistance, which is morale for the broken part of the bomb. This move frankly has insane combo potential that might be in contention for the best overall combo extending projectile in the entire game. Link has numerous ways of comboing into bomb detonation, has numerous setups out of bomb detonation, and has several kill setups that revolve around the bomb. But what's worse is that because the first hit of Link's back air has set knockback, you can open up a whole bunch of creative bomb loops with Link, which includes an infinite. While the timing for some of these can be pretty tricky, Optimal Link has some of the scariest combos in Ultimate, solely as a result of his Remote Bomb. There's more I could go on about offensively, like the fact that Bomb is a baller out of shield option, and that it opens up out of shield combos, and it helps in tech chase situations that can cover all 4 options with arrows, but you get the gist. This bomb gets a solid S tier in terms of the offense department. In terms of defense, this move's ability to control space is unmatched by any other move in the game. Because of its massive explosion hitbox, as well as the fact that the bomb can sit there for 30 seconds without exploding, creates a difficult situation for much of the cast to get around. And when you combine the fact that Link can shoot his other projectiles to hit the bomb, it can follow you around like a crazy ex-girlfriend. Remote Bomb can also act as a hazard during Link's disadvantage state, as the opponent can actually accidentally pick up an unwanted bomb in the middle of their combo, causing them to mess it up. Also, the move helps Link recover, which mitigates one of his bigger weaknesses. So here we have yet again a solid S grade for defense. For ledge trapping, Remote Bomb is one of the most obnoxious projectiles in the game because of that bomb bounce mechanic I was telling you about. This creates a 3-second active hitbox. This means that Bomb on its own can not only cover neutral get-up attack, and ledge stall, but it also covers jump and double jump in to sweeten the deal. So as a Link player, you have exceptional control over the ledge in Ultimate, making him on par with Pac-Man and Diddy as one of the fiercest ledge trappers in the entire game. So, S tier for ledge trapping. Offstage, Bomb not only kills and has a massive hitbox, but it also has a variety of arcs that it can be sent at as a result of the many ways that Link can get it out there. You can throw it, Z-drop it, or have him hit it with one of his projectiles. So ultimately, A grade for edge guarding. Lastly, it's important to note that while every projectile on this list can be reflected, Link's bomb is technically an exception. Because of the fact that you can detonate the bomb right in front of someone's face, Bomb is an incredibly difficult move to reflect, which mitigates one of the most important counterplay elements for dealing with projectiles in the first place. Link's Remote Bomb scores an S tier for having limited counter meta. So in sum, this move has a really great frame data, pretty good accessibility, exceptional offense and defensive application, and straight up oppressive ledge trapping and edge guarding abilities, all atop limited reflection counterplay. So now you're probably wondering, what on earth could possibly be more broken as a projectile than Link's Remote Bomb? And while I'm more than happy to get to answering that, let's first go over the rest of the top 20 projectiles on the list, as well as the ones that didn't make it onto the list. Patui is a really good move on a really bad character. It's incredible at the ledge, and is really underrated as a walling tool, especially for catching jumps. It also has great shield pressure in the neutral, since it starts shield poking super early. You can technically turn out high damage combos out of the neutral with Patui, but even though they're pretty simple to pull off, they're still a bit situational. Furthermore, if your opponent calls you out for using the move, they will punish you hard, and Plant's mediocre neutral doesn't allow for this move to be maximized to its fullest potential. If Patui were tied to a better character, then this move would truly be excellent. FYI, I seem to be the only person who collaborated on this project to think that this move was worthy of being here, but it's my channel, so bleh. I went over this already in the Most Broken Smash Moves video, but you can listen to it here if you haven't seen that video yet. The move comes out just fast enough to be barely reactable, and if you're still holding shield when it comes out because you were expecting a fair, well, congratulations, you just got punished. Over the dozens of Leon sets that I've watched, I almost never see him getting punished for using Bowser Fire, just because of the absurd range. So the argument that it's supposedly laggy and punishable just doesn't seem to be the case in a practical application. The only reason this move is so low on the list is because while it scores high in terms of offense and ledge trapping potential, it scores very low for everything else. Plus, while it's busted at lower percentages, it's way less applicable at higher percentages. which further limits its applicability in a game. Trickshot is super versatile. It comes out frame 1, has great offensive potential, great walling, edge guarding, and ledge trapping. You can still grab your opponent and throw them into can and start some crazy combos like you could in Smash 4, which makes Duck Hunt's combo game really complex and strategy driven. The only issue with Trickshot is that it's only above average in all of these facets, but not exceptional in any one of them except for frame data. What's worse is that it doesn't seem to kill very easily. Not much else to say about it, it's just a really solid projectile overall. These two moves have been thrown in together because they function surprisingly similarly. PK Fire deals an unfair amount of damage, links into some of Ness's other moves, and can be a nice ledge and offstage option. It's also a good walling tool that stuffs out approaches, which is essential for swordy matchups in particular, since Ness's boxing game loses to the priority and disjoints that sword moves have. That said, it isn't as offensively or defensively oppressive as many of the moves on this list. Best Ness's most recent guide for the character seems to corroborate PK Fire's spot on this list, as he agrees that the move is much better online than off, and that it isn't quite as spammable at top level as Elite Smash would have you believe. Youngling's Fire Arrow is basically a slightly worse version of PK Fire, even if it has better frame data and better kill application given that it sets up into more combos. Fire Arrow isn't as good at the ledge as PK Fire though, so that knocks it down one spot lower for me. Other than that, it's a move that works well in the air, and thanks to its low end lag, works well as an offensive combo tool and as a defensive zoning tool. Okay, so this one might cause some outrage, but please let me explain. Nikita is only number 15 on this list because it technically only has one use: offstage edge guarding. That said, it's the single best offstage option in the game. So while linear, it's so broken at what it does that it just had to make its way onto this list. If you think that this move should be higher though, let me ask you this. Would you rather have to fight a Mario who can throw Nikita out against you when you're off stage, or a Mario who can throw Pikmin at you every second? Seriously, which would you choose? Now I know what you're probably thinking. Is the sweet release of death an option? To which I would say, how bold of you to assume that Monique can't follow you beyond the grave. My logic for putting things like Pikmin Toss higher than Nikita is because I'd only have to deal with Nikita for certain points of a match, whereas Pikmin Toss is a persistent annoyance throughout a game. Link's Boomerang is here on this list for the same reason as Trickshot. It kinda just does everything, and it does it pretty darn well. The move has an immense amount of mobility since it bounces off surfaces and returns, making it very tough to contend with in neutral. Boomerang's combo and kill potential outclasses everything below it, yet I feel like Yoshi's Egg is still a little more versatile in the neutral. All of the Links have very similar boomerangs, and if I was a lame-o, I could technically put them all in very similar spots on this list, but regular Links is a little bit better than the rest because it interacts so well with his remote bomb, whose accolades I've spent more than enough time praising. Because this move is attached to one of the least played characters in all of Smash, few players understand how busted Mii Gunner's grenade launch is, and even some Mii Gunner mains foolishly choose the charge shot knockoff as part of their loadout. But thanks to recent developments in the Mii Gunner metagame, people are finally learning how busted grenade launch is. Grenade launch is an incredible walling tool, as it covers a lot of the stage and has a really nice blast radius. Even if your opponent manages to run in, the move has excellent shield stun, making it not only safe, but also capable of opening up a lot of grab opportunities. Like Egg, you can control its trajectory very well, and it's one of the best tools at two-framing in the entire game. Recoveries like Terry's and Ken's are largely invalidated against Mii Gunner thanks to this one move. Papillon thought that this move should have been higher on the list, Smokk thought it should have been lower, but I think it belongs right here. Before we get to the number one spot on this list, I am 100% sure that some of you are very confused as to why there are some moves that did not make their way onto this list. I've made it my personal mission to not spend more than 1 minute on each of these, so I'm going to try to blitz through them as quickly as possible while also explaining my reasoning. So without further ado, let's dive into the honorable and dishonorable mentions. Honorable mention goes to Lemons. The reason Lemons aren't on this list, and by Lemons I mean Nair, F-Tilt, and Jab, Lemons are a kit, not a single move. If Lemons were on the list, they would probably be top 15 or higher, as they rival the Pikmin throw in terms of annoying walling. Dishonorable mention goes to Joker's guns. First of all, it's not a projectile. That's just a fact. You can't reflect the thing, and technically it just, I don't know. Whatever, Smash Ultimate. Even if this thing was a projectile, I firmly believe that it's overrated. I thought it was only good before the nerf, and I've always thought that people show a little too much respect to this move in the neutral. Watch Leo play and you will not see him use guns half as much as he uses his other projectile. Post-nerf, this move definitely is not worthy of a top 20 discussion, in my humble opinion. Honorable mention goes to Kaboom. This move is absolutely amazing. Gigantic hitbox, gigantic kill potential, and a win box that pulls you in. Problem is, this move is way way too RNG dependent and scores a solid F in terms of accessibility. If not, this move would definitely make its way onto the top 10. Dishonourable mention goes to Wolf Laser, the most overrated projectile in the game, in my opinion, even though I know Smokk disagrees and he's like infinitely better than me. As someone who studied Wolf VODs a ton when I played the character for over a year, I can tell you that good Wolf players just don't use this move as much as you'd think. And when they do use it, it's mostly in campy matchups and off stage. Then again, Smokk has played the character extensively, so maybe he just sees the character in a different way than I do. The move itself is really just a laser that stuns you for a bit and makes approaching annoying. It's good at controlling the neutral, but only good and widely overrated even in this facet. At the end of the day, laser deals good damage, is a fine neutral option, and is kinda good off stage, but it doesn't do anything else. Honourable mention goes to PK Thunder. This move is super underrated. It gives Ness a fantastic advantage state, and you can sometimes lock your opponent in the air. It lets Ness get back to the stage at the ledge by zapping nearby opponents, has offstage applications, and you can even cheese people with PK Missile for a free kill. Wouldn't put it on the list because Patui is definitely better, but for me, it would definitely make its way onto the top 25. Dishonourable mention goes to Lloyd Rocket. It's amazing for flanking, and it's okay in the neutral, but it does sweet fuck all otherwise. Honourable mention goes to Wii Fits Volleyball. It's a really annoying and campy projectile that packs quite a punch when boosted by deep breathing. It's great when it works, but unfortunately it can bounce back right in your face far too often, which can make it kind of unreliable. This move could have maybe made it onto my top 25 if we were making the list a bit bigger. Dishonourable mention goes to Kafriz. Kafriz is a worse version of Charge Shot. Simple and clean. It deals great damage in tech chase situations, but isn't even used that much by top level hero mains. Honourable mention goes to Fireball. As explained, unfortunately it's just a worse version of T-Jolt, but it's still really good overall. Dishonourable mention goes to Holy Water. It's really great at ledge trapping, and it's a move that's really tough to contend with and often leads to kills. Despite this though, the move is very limited in terms of offense and defense in the neutral, and it's really only good for the ledge. Honourable mention goes to Razor Leaf. It's a great move, but just doesn't do enough offensively. You can do some really cool combo stuff, but you basically have to retreat with the move because it doesn't have the same approach value as something like Fireball. Dishonourable mention goes to Everything Robin. While all of his projectiles are quite good, none of them are better than PK Fire. And basically they run out of steam in the middle of combat, which sucks major ass. Super honorable mention goes to Chic Needles. This move leads into a few kill confirms and has decent neutral applications. And even though they aren't as spammable as they were in Smash 4, I think there's a lot of potential for this move. While its kill applications seem to still be in development, this move is a fine keep away tool in the neutral, and it seems like more needle setups are coming out just every day. Time will tell if this move is secretly busted. For me, it's potentially top 21 in the game. Alright, without further ado, let's dive into the number 1 projectile move in Smash Ultimate. Before we dive into it, I'm fully aware that this move is going to be a little bit controversial, but trust me when I tell you, when I spoke about it with all the top tier players in my region, and all of the high tier players in my region, we all came to a consensus on this move. So please, hear me out.
Some people call me the Space Cowboy. Wicked wild west. Desperado, rough rider. No, you don't want nada. There's 6 gunning this, brother running this. Buffalo.
DDD's Gerudo is broken. This move is absolutely busted for a variety of reasons. Can't. I was gonna go and I was like, I couldn't even keep the joke running for long enough. It's Gyro. Gyro's the most broken projectile in the game. Gyro is one of the best moves in Ultimate because it basically combines the best elements of other projectiles on this list into one singular perfect projectile. In terms of defense, if you want to imagine a projectile that combines Pikmin Throw's oppressive zoning and anti-approach prowess with the walling abilities of Hydrant, congratulations, you have Gyro. In terms of whiff punishing, you can B-reverse Gyro in the neutral to turn around and punish a bad approach, kinda like you would with Diddy's Banana Peel. Also, to get at a disadvantage, you can B-reverse Gyro to help you land, or you can just Z-drop it onto your opponent's head. Now, is Gyro as good a wall as Hydrant? No. Is it as good as zoning as Pikmin? No. Is it as good as whiff punishing as Banana? Hell to the no. Is it as good as Grenade and Disadvantage? Okay, not even close. Not even gonna make that comparison. Is it as good as Link's bomb combos? Actually, I think it pretty much is, but we'll get to that in just a bit. The point is that Gyro is a perfect storm of each of these incredible assets packed into one incredible move that comes out frame 9. This thing does everything and more and comes out frame 9. God, it feels good to be a Rob main. As a frame of reference, Link's Remote Bomb, which is incredible in its own right, only technically comes out frame 39. Yes, this thing has an active hitbox starting frame 39 when you don't already have one on the field. In terms of out of shield options, the move comes out frame 7 for the forward throw, which makes Rob's poor out of shield game suddenly improve pretty dramatically. Even if you fought mid-level Robs, you know how good this move is at ledge trapping and edge guarding. And this clip of Zackray's B-reverse edge guard sequence lets you know just how devastating Gyro can be at top level. So here's the thing though, if all that wasn't enough, Gyro is probably the best projectile combo extender in the entire game. Yes, even more than Link's Bomb. Remember how I said that it's really impressive that Link's Bomb has an infinite that can cause 0 to deaths? Well, Rob has several 0 to death combos, and they aren't half as difficult to pull off as Link's. Even as a low to mid level player at my locals, I would steal games off of top contenders just by throwing a Z-drop Nair Gyro Toss side B for the game. And it kills super heavyweights like K-Rool at around 50% at the ledge. If you're enjoying the combo dessert you've been watching on screen, I'd highly recommend Top Player Lucretio's Rob videos, as they go in depth and show you how these combos actually operate. While the combos aren't the easiest thing in the world to set up, I'm certain that Gyro, when optimized, will give Rob the deadliest combo game in all of Smash Ultimate. And that is it. Those are the best projectiles in the game, in this Manic Pineapple's humble opinion. Do you disagree with any of my takes? Feel free to drop a comment down below and I'll debate your pants off. I love me some Smash debates. This very video idea spawned from a debate that Bap and I were having regarding Wolf's Laser being a top 15 projectile move in the game, and I love how us having a well-informed and respectful debate usually ends up leaving both sides more well-informed. And in this case, I walked out of it with a video too. I'd like to take a moment once again to thank Smokk, FWED, Papillon, and of course Bap for their contributions to this video. Seriously guys, your insight helped shape the content and analysis for this video, and I am eternally grateful. I'd also yet again like to thank all of these different Smash tubers whose contributions to the Ultimate meta has been really well appreciated by people like me who are still trying to learn and improve, especially Izza, thank you so much for all these freaking crazy videos, man. They've been making really good background stuff, and man oh man, I did not know how busted Link's Bomb was until I saw your video. Alright, and that's about it. I am tired. Oh my god, that video took like an hour to record. Till next time, this has been the Manic Pineapple, and have a campy ass day. Bye-bye.